Today, we're going to talk about the quiet power of a daily routine, but maybe not in the way you're thinking. This isn't about rigid schedules. It's really about creating a framework for your mind. So let's get into the psychology behind it all.
You ever have those days? You know the ones, where everything just clicks. It feels intentional, clear. And then there are the other days, the ones that just kind of slip away, where you feel like you're constantly playing catch-up. What's really going on there?
It's so easy to blame ourselves, right? To think, I just don't have enough motivation today. But what if that's not it? What if the real missing piece is something much simpler? Something like structure.
And that's the big idea here. A routine isn't really about cramming more stuff into your day. It's about organizing your inner world. It's those little things you do day in, day out that actually build a sense of calm and order inside your own mind.
So where do we even begin? Well, it all starts with how you wake up. And look, this is not about forcing yourself to join the 5 a.m. club. The hour itself doesn't matter nearly as much as the consistency. It's about finding a predictable rhythm that works for you. And there's real science behind this. It's all about something called your circadian rhythm. Think of it as your body's internal clock. When you wake up around the same time every day, even on weekends, you're basically tuning that clock. You're telling your brain when it's time to be sharp and when it's time to relax. And the result? You get clearer thoughts and a lot less of that awful morning fog.
You know, to other people, this might look like super strict discipline, but internally, it doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like less friction, like your day is starting with a gentle push instead of a hard shove.
So let's think about the two ways a morning can go. There's the digital start. You roll over, grab your phone, and bam! You're hit with emails, notifications, bad news. You're already behind. But then there's the analog start. Maybe it's just 5 minutes of quiet, but it lets you set the tone. It puts you in the driver's seat.
There's a cool psychological idea behind this called attentional priming. Basically, your brain is like a sponge when you first wake up. Whatever you feed it first is what it's going to look for all day. So if you start with chaos, you're programming your brain for distraction. If you start with calm, you're priming it for focus.
Okay, what about movement? And no, I'm not talking about hitting the gym for an hour at sunrise. It can be something as simple as a short walk or a few light stretches. It's just about sending a gentle signal to your brain that, hey, we're awake now.
The psychology behind this is called behavioral activation. It's this powerful idea that you don't need motivation to act. Sometimes action itself creates the motivation. Just by moving your body a little, you start to clear out those mental cobwebs. And it's such a grounding feeling, right? It's like your body and mind are finally in sync, in the same room together. All right, so your morning has a good rhythm. Now what about the bulk of your day, the work? We've all been taught to make these huge, sprawling to-do lists. But what if that's actually counterproductive? What if the key is to pick just one meaningful priority?
And this lines up with something called cognitive load theory. The simple truth is, our brains are terrible at multitasking. When we try to juggle a dozen things, we don't do any of them well. We just end up scattering our energy and stressing ourselves out. But when you have one single clear target, that's when you can really do deep, meaningful work.
And here we are again, back to that internal feeling. Sure, on the outside, people might just see that you got something done. But inside, you feel grounded. You feel a sense of real accomplishment, which is so different from just feeling busy.
This whole single-tasking idea goes even deeper, though. It's not just about picking one thing to do, it's about how you do it. It's about working in these focused, uninterrupted blocks of time. Because, let's be honest, our brains don't work like machines in a constant grind. They work in cycles, in these natural waves of focus.
These natural cycles are called ultradian rhythms. And when you learn to work with them, maybe that's focusing hard for a while and then taking a real break, the work stops feeling forced. You just get absorbed by it. It's that amazing feeling we call flow.
This is so important. A break isn't a reward for good work. It's not a luxury, it's a tool. It's a necessary part of the process. Taking an intentional break gives your brain and your nervous system a chance to hit the reset button. It's basically essential maintenance for your mind. Okay, so this whole idea of being intentional carries right through to the end of the day. And this is where it gets tricky for a lot of us. It's so tempting to just collapse on the couch and scroll or binge watch something until we pass out. But what if there was a better way to wind down? What if we chose reflection instead of just escape? Doing this,
Taking just a few minutes to reflect strengthens something that psychologists call your internal locus of evaluation. That's a fancy way of saying you learn to judge your own day based on your own values, not on how many likes you got or what someone else thinks. And when you do that consistently, you build this incredible foundation of self-trust.
But listen, I get it. Hearing all of this might sound like a lot, like another thing you have to get perfect. And it's so important to say that's not what this is about. This isn't about rigid, harsh discipline. Let's reframe it. Think of this structure as creating psychological safety for your brain. When your mind isn't constantly putting out fires or dealing with a flood of new information, it can finally relax. And in that state of safety, it can do what it does best: focus, regulate your emotions, and actually grow.
And really, that's the whole point. This was never about being more productive or doing more. It's about creating space. When you give your days a gentle rhythm, you give your mind room to breathe. And that's where clarity and peace really come from.
So as we wrap up, maybe just think about this. You don't have to change everything overnight. What's one small rhythm, just one tiny thing, that you could invite into your day to give your mind just a little more space?